Thanks for joining us again. The final part of the Fear Street trilogy, Jared. We've been talking about it for fucking 2 weeks. You told me I needed to slow my roll a touch and get to the end because I was slightly upset with the second film.
Mm.
So we've got to the end of it. So we now have the whole thing. We can sort of digest what went on. Before we get to that, though, I think we have to actually do an up or down because we have not spoken about this, and we fucking should have. But the trailer to Halloween Kills was released a couple of weeks ago, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty up.
Yeah, do you need to ask a
No,
question?
I don't think anyone needs to ask the question, but just that opening shit of him coming out in the fire and everything and taking out the fire guys.
Yeah.
Just looked fucking gold.
Yeah.
It obviously looks like it's quite a bit more violent, I would suggest.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it's taking things up a notch in that department. As we kind of mentioned, classic Blumhouse. So I mean, is there any kill in the movie that they didn't show us?
True, that's a bit of a worry.
But that's what they do. We know that by now, and it hasn't dulled my enthusiasm at all.
No.
I'm excited. Looks like another stylish kind of take on it. As you said, ramps things up in the... He just looks a bit more brutal. To be honest, it reminded me a little bit of some of the Rob Zombie parts.
Yes. And the thing for me is, I'm interested to see where this whole idea of the town, you know, the town sort of turning into a vigilante group, which seems to be what they were insinuating, is what will go on, is that the town of Haddonfield sort of becomes like vigilantes in an effort to find him or whatever, or to take him out.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. The cop with the cowboy hat's back.
Yeah.
Oh, see, he looks like he's hanging around. Looks a little bit... I'm getting a couple of Crate and Duke vibes there.
Is he going to break anyone's fingers to get fucking information?
Possibly.
Or
Who
provide
knows?
information?
We'll see. He might be doing some of that sort of work.
I still don't understand that.
No, neither do I.
I still am not putting my hand through the bars. I'm saying,
that's
listen,
right.
I don't understand the fucking ebb and flow of this.
After he breaks my fingers, I'm sitting there going, you needed me at full strength.
Yeah.
Like,
now you fucked yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, get him with that knife. I can't pick it up. You fucking idiot.
Yeah, I tried to. I just dropped it. Yeah, he's back.
Yep.
See, I would have liked to, although I did like that character in the first film, and he was only in it briefly, but I would have liked to have had Will Patton still there. As a bit of a through thing.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to
fucking...
But then Dr.
Sartain fucked that up for us, didn't he?
Certainly did. I'm looking forward to seeing what Anthony Michael Hall does with...
Yeah, well, he's the one that doesn't...
Tommy Doyle.
He's kind of not really there in the trailer.
Yeah, he's seen like once or twice, I think.
So, yeah, that's the other thing for me that's still kind of, holding us with a bit of something.
Hopefully there's some things, that we can... It digs into a bit deeper and we get to see a little bit more of that type of stuff. And I'm assuming that a lot of it's a through line to Halloween Ends.
Yeah, of course. Oh, look, if Tommy Doyle's a fucking minion of Sartain's or something, you can forget it. I'm out.
What if he's a minion of Dr. Witt? Who's still alive?
Well, my feelings on Halloween 6 have kind of swung around a little bit. So
classic.
I might love that.
You fucking done a massive 180 on it.
I don't know about a massive 180. It's still got some...
You've got 90, at least.
No, I just changed my ranking between 5 and 6.
I believe you went up several steps with 6.
I did, actually.
Hell. Last I heard it was a number 2.
Did you give me a fucking sobriety test before we
recorded
that? Or?
Yeah, but you outed yourself at the time saying, when we first ranked them, I don't know what I was talking about. So I'm going to assume you weren't sober the first time.
Yeah, well, I should have prefaced it this time saying I still don't know what I'm talking about,
but I've turned around on things.
Yeah.
But yeah, definite up. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be
good. And
you
know what? The extra year hasn't dulled my enthusiasm at all.
No, it's gone the other way.
Yeah.
It's gone because the same with this and Candyman. The two things that I was very much looking forward to. So I've just been fucking on edge for a year now trying to wait for this shit.
Yeah. If it's not up to par, I'm going to be slightly disappointed though.
Yeah, possibly. Yep.
All right. Let's get into it. Here's the trailer for 2021's Fear Street Part 3, 1666.
We can end the curse. For Shady Saga. What the hell?
You see it now. Sarah! The devil has come to feast on our misdeeds. And his darkness grows within each of us.
Sarah Fear, you know nothing good comes from those woods after sundown.
What was that? The truth will follow you forever.
What happens now?
Fear Street, Part 3, 1666, from 2021, dropped yesterday, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Same crew, same cast. The only addition that I could find was the story or the screenplay was also written by someone by the name of Kate Treefree, who wrote for Stranger Things, which is always good. And of course, it's based on the Fear Street books by R.L. Stine. Not a lot of
One of his
trivia.
ghosties, according to you.
Yeah. R.L. Stine Inc. His writer's room who punched out some of this shit.
Yep.
There wasn't a lot of trivia. The only thing I could find was that he visited the set during filming. Thanks for letting us know. What was he not capable of that? It's a fucking surprise. I thought he would have been there all the time.
Yeah.
Considering it's his property. But all right, okay, let's get into it. I'm going to start first because I was measured about part 1. I was down on part 2. I didn't think part 2 was that good at all. And then I was a bit concerned by this in initial phases before it came out. Thankfully, I've gone back up slightly. I actually found it to be on par with the first one. The first hour is a bit of a slog. There's not a lot of excitement, I guess. But it does a nice enough job of creating some atmosphere. It ticks the boxes as to what we know and sort of rounds out the Sarah Fear side of it. And then it comes back to 94. And 94, the second part of 94, it rolls in with plenty of fun and nostalgia and stuff, just like I got with the first one. So I was pretty happy with what I ended up getting. Look, it doesn't do anything greatly outrageous. Like, there wasn't any twist where I was like, oh my God. Like, there was a light twist that I thought was okay.
Yeah.
But there was nothing that kind of said to me, geez, okay, so we really needed to wait for this to look back on the others in a better light or a worse light. I think they all came across pretty much the way I felt about them. No real changes based on what happens in the third one. But I thought the third one was pretty damn good. And actually, I'd probably go as far as to say it was probably my favourite one. Yeah. So I gave it 3.
Right. There you go.
Couldn't even go to Snake Eyes. But
No.
yeah.
You fucking...
I'm stingy with Snake Eyes.
You
mate.
are.
You give Snake Eyes to fucking anything.
Well, funny you say that, because I'm giving it a Snake Eyes. 3.5 for me. That
Jesus.
seems to be my go-to.
I know.
Everything's a 3.5. I don't know what's happening.
We're going to have to call you fucking Snake Eyes because we brought that shit up about Maddie, but you have become officially Snake Eyes.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm giving them to movies that deserve them.
Yeah, true. The good thing is we've actually looked at some good film recently where the Snake Eyes could get you there.
Yeah.
When we cover Gary Busey's Bulletproof, I get the feeling you won't get Snake Eyes.
I get the feeling I probably won't. But no, look, I think it's basically just that because that's what I had settled. I feel like I gave the first one a 4 based on the kind of excitement level. Then when we settled into the second one, I kind of stuck at that score because I've sort of, being the continuations, I've sort of just almost started at a score and decided as I was going through whether it's going up or down or whatever.
Yeah.
And this one I felt like it was the same sort of quality. The one thing I'll disagree with is I think when I go and look back, it might change some of my feelings about part 2. but I have to watch them again before I can
Yeah.
say that for sure.
I didn't get any feeling of like I didn't go, oh shit, part 2 looks 10 times better now that I've seen that.
No, I didn't say better. I'm thinking
Worse.
might make it look worse. But I definitely think, you know, now that we've got them all together, it works as one big story. Like, I would like to sit down and just watch all 3 back to back, because I mean, they don't even bother with any character, setting up any characters in the last one. We just get a name, but they rely on what they've set up
beforehand
with the characters in the previous 2, which actually wasn't a bad idea.
Yeah, look, I mean, it cuts away a bit of the fat.
Yeah, and it allows us to just go, all right, well, the start of this one is basically what we've been waiting for. What you've been saying, what we need to find out about Sarah Fear, and as you said, there wasn't a whole lot of big surprises there. There was one twist that
I thought it worked out all right.
Yeah, it worked out all right. I didn't necessarily see it coming in the previous ones. But I saw it sort of coming in a sense, but not necessarily the character. But then early on in this one, it started to really be clear.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, once we got that information, we came back to the present day and we sorted it out. And that was fun. So, yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I'm still feeling the similar sort of strengths. Like, the actors, I felt, did another really good job. And probably covered over a few of the issues because they were very likeable. So
I would agree with that.
I went Snake Eyes again.
Snake Eyes.
Easy. It's just down the line.
It's easy. It's
down
the line. You know where to go.
And if you don't give it to Snake Eyes, you probably won't get criticised.
Yeah, true. All right. Look, as far as the cast and going into the likes and everything, I actually like the idea of having the entire cast back in sort of quasi-similar roles in 1666. So you're getting a little bit of a comparison between that and 94.
Yeah.
Or 78.
Yep.
You're sort of seeing the same sort of characterizations. That's why I don't bother to really put in much effort there, because they're kind of sort of touching back to the.
So they'd already done it, and they expect you to watch them as a set.
As a set, yeah. And so I was happy with that. It also shows the qualities of the cast. Mm-hmm. That they could slip between the periods and still give us performances that I felt were natural. Especially the main girl, Dina. I don't have her name at hand. She was really, really good.
Her and her brother were both good, solid relationship.
Yeah.
I felt.
I will disagree. Not disagree, but there is the relationship between Sarah and, was it Hannah this time around?
Yeah, I think so.
That did actually have some weight. And I think when we get to the point where, and I'll bring it up later in the likes, when we get to a specific point, it actually has a little bit of sadness to it.
Yes.
There's a tinge to it that again, the acting is a key strength to that.
Yeah.
But I think that relationship is definitely handled again.
I think it was, I mean, like you said, the idea of using those pre-existing characters, it was sound, because it means, you know, we relive what's going on, but we're already attaching these character traits to these people based on who they were in the other films, and for the most part, it's pretty solid, except for maybe the bloke, the one in part 2 who was, you know, Mr. Boy Next Door type, then goes off the deep end, and then they kind of, in this one, they take the crazy aspects, and he's the fucking town drunk, and carrying on like a dildo.
Yeah, that was probably
I didn't mind it, but it was just kind of like, so they're not all as they were.
Yeah, exactly. But a solid way to do it.
Yeah. Well, it allowed us, as we said, just to get straight into the story and start working through that.
Exactly. Production design, again, top class. They do a really, really good job of getting the period details decent, selling us on the time period, and I think they do, once again, they did it in all 3, a decent sort of look and feel for what we were after.
Yeah.
This one also comes with a bit of atmosphere that I didn't find in the first 2. Maybe it's because it's kind of that slow burning, you know, witch, you know, there's a witch and, you know, the whole period. Maybe that's why it works, because I kind of like that whole idea of, you know, you're not carrying a torch, you're carrying a fucking, you know, a stick with fire on top of it, you know, to bring certain shadows and stuff to the table. And I think they work with that really well a couple of times.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
So there's a bit of atmosphere in it.
And this was the setting that I was kind of concerned about.
Yeah.
Because the other two had set themselves up as familiar, homages to movies that we knew, whereas this one didn't quite have that as much.
No.
But I feel the same. I thought the setting worked out pretty well for it in the end, and they started to connect things to, the layout of the town in the modern day compared to the camp and then the mall and everything like that.
I thought they did a really good job there.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Just quietly, the evening of debauchery. Bring the berries too.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I had a couple.
The piss. It looked like there was an orgy going on in the background.
There was all sorts of shit happening, and then they eat a couple of berries, and everything but the whistles and glow sticks comes out.
They're fucking pigging in the 1600s.
And then, even funnier, we're marching a bloke who's got a raging fat. Like he's just, he's just standing in the middle of the group.
Why do I laugh at that? I have no idea.
I just kind of looked at it. What popped into my head was, remember when we danced at the sock in year 8? I had the biggest belly.
Classic, can't hardly wait.
I couldn't stop laughing. I don't know why.
Also, though, dude, look, in the future, bring your Hessian crackers. Keep that thing under wraps.
Yeah, get it? Make your pants out of heavier fucking sack next time. Or something.
Yeah, cotton or fucking linen. It's not when you're freeballing. And this is a tip for all players. If you're wearing linen sides and you got no crackers on, expect an issue. Expect that your fucking towel rack. Your towel rack will be on display.
Expect to be laughed out of the Ranger.
Yeah, it's a fucking Ranger, all right. In 1600.
I mean, that was a perfect setup for like a Naked Gun sort of thing. When he swings around to run away, he knocks something over.
He knocks a goblet of. He knocks a goblet of ale off the table. Fucking hell. I loved it. Yeah, I would have definitely been there.
This is what goes through my head. I say I had a couple of laughs at that. This is why I'm laughing.
Yeah, what though? If anyone had knocked on my fucking door in the middle of the night and said, "Listen, we're heading down to the debauchery," give me.
Yeah.
Let me get my linens on.
Yeah, I didn't know the password, but I'd be following people, whatever I needed to do to get there.
Yeah.
Look, I'll make you a heavier pair of pants if that'll get me a ticket into the Ranger.
Exactly, mate. It was a Ranger. I'm all over it. Really striking image that I found, and there was a couple of them in this particular period that they do, when she is sort of outed as having done something immoral, and she steps outside of her house, and they do like a panning shot from behind her, and the whole town's sort of looking at her.
Yeah.
And there's fog and shit. Dominic Athene and Gerard may have been involved. But as they're panning, they're catching the entire town kind of standing there and looking at her, and had just heard the mother sort of screaming out. And I thought that's a really fucking effective shot.
Yeah, I think we spoke a couple of times about the director, but she certainly has a good style about what she's doing, and I was pretty impressed.
And she seems to understand the material
Yep.
really well, and I think, there's absolutely nothing wrong directorially with what she's done across all three films. And I think they work really well on that front. There's a similar, really unsettling scene, a couple in a row actually, because then everything's, after they have that panning shot of her being watched by the entire town, we find out that the food's rotten.
Yeah.
And the dog's hung in the well.
Yep.
Which is very striking stuff. And then we get that really unsettling scene of the pastor who's just knocked over his congregation and fucking picked their eyeballs out.
Yeah.
And his own. And he's fucking mumbling something about, I can see now, I can see. That was some really, really eerie shit.
Yeah, that was done pretty well, really.
Yeah. Solid across the board. Now, we mentioned a twist.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to spoil it.
Yeah, of course, we've spoiled
The whole
all the other
series.
ones. So.
Although it's not a super, I wasn't blown away by the fact that Solomon was actually the guy who started it all. I just liked it. I thought it was a nice little touch that Sarah wasn't really a witch.
And look, it made sense. You know, we got the sense from almost the first film that, hey, there's something to the Shady Side versus Sunnyvale thing that's got to essentially be that there was either a deal made with the witch or that the curse is on Shady's side. And naming a character in this sort of stuff good always kind of puts the spotlight on there. I mean, that's classic R.L. Stein sort of stuff. But, as I said, they worked through 2 movies with some misdirections and things like that. So when we got there, I was like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm
it hadn't stuck out enough.
No, that's right.
Like a flashing light to have me going, oh, well, that was pretty cheap.
And the way they handled it in part 2 was actually pretty good, especially when you go back to the lines and you assume that he's talking about the policing stuff. And they kind of tie it into, no, he's talking about the curse.
Yeah, and the idea that we saw him as a youth. Yeah. And we saw this sort of nice guy. You know, he became an ally to Ziggy, who was the outcast. And so we thought that he was a good guy. Yeah, and I feel like, you know, we might go back and watch the second one at some point and think, shit, how did we miss this? Yeah. But in the moment, I feel like because of the way that they were handling the relationships between the characters, it was pretty good. Yeah, they handled it pretty well. The part where it kind of hit me was when you know someone's watching the 2 girls. Yeah. And my thought was, it's him. And that, you know, very quickly after that, they kind of established that, and then we move forward with it. Yeah. And yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I was happy that they attempted to do all these swerves throughout, and I feel for the most part they nailed some of them pretty well. I think so. I think if you look at it as a whole, they've done a pretty good job. Absolutely. Sarah having a hand ripped off. Yeah, pretty ugly. God. Yeah. I hate that shit too, because where things are tearing and stuff. Look, I like a bit of gore, but that sort of stuff. It's like when someone gets their arm broken. Like, it's the best. It's too close to home. Yeah, it feels a bit too real for me. But I did like it was a good way to showcase how she lost her hand, and all that kind of stuff. I come back to what I said before. The relationship between Sarah and Hannah, although already established in the first film, those same 2 characters, similar characters, played by the same 2 actresses. Yep. But they did a decent enough job to create that character, the 2 of them as a couple in this one. And then when she takes the fall to save Hannah, basically, says that I did it, there's a bit of poignancy to it. Yeah, it pretty tragic. It has a little bit of weight. It does, and it sort of ties into the kind of stuff they're doing, just very low-level stuff, a little bit of sort of, you know, message about discrimination and the way that minorities are treated and social sort of standing and whatnot. But, yeah, I thought that was one of the stronger parts of the movie as well. It was pretty tragic and sort of served to wrap up some of this stuff that we'd been building for the 3 films, but then we know that it's not wrapped up. It kind of just sort of enlarges the stakes for the modern day again. Yeah. Because you kind of see it builds those 2 characters that are still going to be there when we get back to 1994. Yeah, agreed. And I really liked the whole speech she gives him about, you'll never get rid of me. Yeah. I'll never leave you. Yep. Yeah, I thought that stuff was really cool. Small touch very soon after that, but I really loved how it snapped into 1994 Part 2. Yeah, it was just that was where we got a little bit more of that, you know, that nods to the films that were being sort of pointed to in one and 2. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot actually, and I like the fact that the movie set, like I'm looking at the time of it and I'm thinking 2 hours, Jesus Christ. But they spent an hour in 66. Yep. Or a bit over an hour in 66, and then cut back to 94. Yep. And came home with a flourish. So it was 40-odd minutes in 94. So I felt like I was seeing an extension, like another extension of the first film, which I enjoyed. Yes. So I was happy to be back there. Like I was kind of happy to be back there. Yeah, same. Bringing back the janitor bloke. Yeah. Generated some laughs. Yeah, he was pretty good. Especially him using one of them fart fart machines. He comes up beside him. He goes, of course, I laughed.
Yep.
I tittered like a bloody child.
Yeah, no, he was good, and
Yeah.
he was. Yeah, I thought it was a. I mean, story wise, there was parts of me that are like, why is he here? Other than the security doors.
Yeah, he didn't really bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, but in terms of, like you said, another character to get behind, he was another sort of, he was an entertaining presence that you liked. You were happy to have him around.
Exactly. So I was happy to have him back. When they trapped the 4 killers by closing the security gates, I thought that was good. And then they pour the infected blood and paint over Nick,
Mm-hmm.
and then set him loose.
Yes.
I thought that was cool.
A nice touch, yep.
I like the way that infected blood then comes into play and the killers basically take each other on.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a minute or two of kind of Royal Rumble type sort of shit.
I kind of dug all that too. I
like that.
Good.
I like that.
And overall, the finale's great fun.
Yeah, I felt it was a satisfying end for the sheriff. I thought it was, like you said, a lot of fun. The way that it went out, it was pretty down the line, but enjoyable.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of swerves at the end.
Yeah,
but that was okay. I was comfortable with that because all I wanted was a nice, breezy, exciting, and fun finale.
And moving through the time periods and the ancestors and stuff, it did kind of build up to this, right?
Mm.
We want him to get the payback for all that shit that's been done, and that.
I had
plays
to laugh when they give us a quick montage of him and his ancestors.
Yeah,
and there's one of them fucking sporting the worst mustache ever.
He looked like Dick Dust.
I was like, oh shit, come on.
Yeah.
Use a different actor.
Yeah. Do something.
And my final, which is my favourite, I felt was my favourite callback to the books, was the stab-proof vest that she'd made out of Fear Street books. I thought that was cool. Really cool.
Again, it's something that we've seen, but the fact that it was all the books, you'd seen her carrying the books and didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
And then, when that happened...
I liked it. I thought it was a fantastic way to sort of end it.
Yeah.
Is to come back to the way we started it, which was opening on one of the books.
Yep.
Now we end it with that happening, and I thought it was a really cool idea.
Yep.
That's it for me, likes-wise. What about you?
No, that's pretty much what I had as well. We're pretty. We're in alignment there.
Dislikes.
Accents.
Yeah. Yeah. Inconsistent, I think, is generous.
Yeah. Well, you can get along with like some differences in the accent between two people. Yeah. But then when the same person's ripping out something and then they sound different than they did a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's a bit harder to follow.
And they also play a little bit fast and loose with that. There's probably some wording and shit that wouldn't have been around.
Yeah,
then.
And that stuff.
You had to play with that, I guess.
I'm not too fussed about that, but yeah, it was kind of obviously it was a challenge.
Yeah, up and down accent wise, we had a bit of a problem.
Yeah,
but I don't think that hurt.
Again, but on the John Lithgow scale.
Oh fuck! It's not Lithgow.
It's probably
only Australian accent.
Yeah,
but
it's only moderate. It's like
it's not at the bottom. It's quite slow. That first hour, the 1666 stuff is quite slow. It doesn't have any banging set pieces like the other films had.
Yeah.
Right? So the other films had set pieces where you could get gory chases and stuff going on. It just doesn't have any of that, which slows things down.
Yeah.
It helps the atmosphere because it's not really trying to force the pace.
Yeah, I tell you, so I guess my issue with the sort of slow nature of it was I expected it to an extent because of the story. Obviously, we knew we were there to get this story, but I felt like the way that it was going, we would get a couple of kills in there.
Mm.
And we did, but only something that had already taken place.
Yeah.
And really, it was a fairly minor part of it. I thought maybe we would get, something going on at the Rager or something. You would just get a shadowy figure doing the deed, and that could have fit in with what was going on.
Yeah, true.
But we didn't get that, and it was, as you said, it did slow down at touches. So yeah, I would agree with your sentiments there.
Yeah, and it's the least accessible portion of the film.
Mm.
because it doesn't have the touch points and the nostalgia and the things that we, as fans of what the first two movies had in store,
Yeah.
it doesn't have any of that.
I
So
guess
what
it was...
you get caught with is it's slower and it has no nostalgic bits for you.
Yeah.
One positive, no mic drops.
No. And it worked better at the end to get that little bit of Oasis and stuff like that because
exactly.
you didn't have it all the way through.
But it means that that 1666 portion is slower and has none of that touch points for you. So if you are willing to go along with it, or the atmosphere wasn't for your liking, it would have been a tough bit of work.
Yeah,
I
think that... So, it fits in with some of that Fear Street book stuff.
Yeah, because there is series, parts of the book series that's got, like, you know, three books about witches and...
Yeah, and there,
stuff,
if I'm not mistaken, it is based around a similar sort of setup, that it was something that happened a long time ago. I don't think, again, my memory might be off here, but I don't think it was Sarah Fear, but I think it was a family called Fear.
Yeah, they were.
So, I mean, that stuff
RL
all
can't
fits.
tell you because they
No, that's right. But I might ask someone at his company or whatever. Can you point me in the direction of who wrote this one so I can ask some questions? So that in itself fits, but I think what happened was they set us up with these slasher, like you said. They gave us almost this sort of this hang it off. It was the kind of Scream era of slashers, and then the Friday the 13th. So we kind of expected a little bit of that somewhere.
The pastor, as you said before, could have been roaming through the Rager.
Yeah, or something, something could have happened to that effect, just to give us a little bit of that in amongst the story. I don't think it would have taken away from what was going on.
No, of course not. I don't think so at all.
So, yeah.
But it's your enjoyment hinges on... Your enjoyment of that section probably hinges on the fact that you can buy into the slow build and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I essentially did, but understood that there were points where I was like, we probably need to hurry this up.
Yeah. I mean, let's go full slasher. More stiffies, more rages.
I'm not gonna lie, I prefer less stiffies. But more rages if we can get down there.
Yeah, that's right.
But
I mean, I could have done with a 1666 version of, the bloke. Essentially, that was him. I was gonna, the 1666 version of some bloke that was, whipping out the weed, pestering some bird to have a root.
That's right. Yeah. Who then gets his fucking throat cut in the bloody out in the woods while he's taking a piss.
Yeah,
it could have
that's
been
right.
perfect. The character development is limited, as you said.
Yeah.
Because they just fall back on the previous sort of roles.
Yep.
So they say, okay, well, you kind of know this actor anyway, and we're giving them a kind of similar role.
And I think that was okay for the main two.
Yes.
The main two girls, because that relationship was pretty strong throughout.
It didn't work for some of the minor players.
No, and this was one of my issues. Like, as soon as that sort of trailer came along at the end of 78, it was like, okay, this has really piqued my interest that they're bringing all of the characters back.
Yeah.
But some of them, I mean, especially Sadie Sink.
Yeah, she's barely in it.
The brother.
Yeah.
They're essentially cameos. And I feel like that's okay if you want to go for that shock value. But really none of those other supporting ones really got anything to do. The cheerleader and Simon, like they didn't get much other than, as you said, after the hanging takes place, there's that sort of poignant thing of all the outcasts kind of getting together. All those characters that it was kind of the inverse. All the characters that had been killed were there saying, we've got to take her somewhere else.
What about the girl that in the second film who was down in the cabin with...
Yeah,
I didn't see her.
I didn't see her either. So that was kind of what was a little bit off for me. I felt like you gave it to us that we're going to kind of keep fleshing these characters out here and really kind of... And it didn't really finish it off for us.
No.
So, yeah, I was totally open to a couple of those characters being killed again.
Yeah.
For that shock value.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the brother, because I thought with Dina and her brother that they would be in 1666 going through this part together.
Yeah.
Because they were going to be back in 94. So when he's one of the kids that gets killed, that could have been a really nice little shock moment as well.
Yeah,
But
it could have.
I just felt, it all just kind of happened, and you were like, well, shit. Especially Sadie Sink. We're like, we've seen her say, I want to come to the party, and then she's dead. It's like, okay, so what's she doing in there?
Yeah.
That was a bit,
That
off.
didn't really work. Just quietly, like Evil Dead, when you find a fucking strange book in a woman's lair, don't read it.
Don't read it.
Yeah. If it's found in human flesh and written in blood,
I'm
fucking
just-
tuck
I'm
it
turning
under
around
the
saying,
nearest fucking
hey,
head.
where's those
Get out
berries?
of there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you later.
You do not fucking read it.
I mean,
okay?
you get out as quick as you can, but you have to have the berries because we need to have the rage.
Of course. I've got a rating to get to. You know, I haven't got time to read this bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't open it and don't fucking read it.
Yeah, especially
It's
when you
in a
see...
alleged witch's lair.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you walk in the door, it's not fucking alleged. It's fucking pretty clear.
Yeah, there's fucking animal carcasses in your favour. There's a fucking head or two in the corner. I mean, fuck.
That's right.
I'm going, look, I've stepped into the wrong home.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't see book and say, oh, fuck, I better have a read of this.
Yeah.
Especially when you flick to the page, it's got a little kind of goat-headed Satan. Like, oh, all right. I don't need to read the names to get what that is.
This is a bit too heavy for me.
Yeah.
I've got other places to go.
That's right. I've got a rager to get to. And then I turn around and knock a few things over on the way out.
Yeah. God damn it.
Like, shit, you don't happen to have any kind of spells to get rid of that, do you?
You don't fucking have double ply fucking
You don't have a witch's robe I can sort of wrap
thick
around me.
robe I could wear. This was one of my I chuckled a little bit. The Good family has put this sort of curse in place and got whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
But what they wanted was to be the sheriff and the mayor.
The small town sheriff.
I would like more than that, thank you, if I'm going to commit fucking homicide, turn people into homicidal maniacs.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm making the wishes, I come on TV and it's like Ric Flair. I'm in there with my suits. I'm talking about wheeling and dealing, and then I'm off. I'm not the sheriff.
Yeah, I'm driving along in my fucking stretch limo with my ladies and getting into the bloody private jets and stuff. Yeah, I'm not becoming the sheriff of the place.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm fucking washing my hands of the area.
So I tell you, what I thought was going to happen was I thought they were going to kill Nick, and it was actually going to be the mayor because he seemed to have what they wanted.
Yeah, big house.
So I thought he was going to be the one that was doing it.
Was it
and
him
Nick
who gets hit by the car at the end?
No, I don't think it was him. Again, I had a bit of a chuckle at that.
I always do.
It could have been a steamroller. It would have been funnier.
Oh, that would have been much funnier if it was a child. It gets fucking run over by it.
But yeah,
You bastard.
Jesus. But that was
It just
curious.
seemed like a fairly innocuous outcome for them.
And especially given that you still... I mean, I know Shady Side's got to be your sort of sacrificial lamb. You need to be close proximity, but we're not organising football games and shit. I'm saying, no. We only come there when we need to.
Yeah, exactly. So it just felt like a little bit lightweight.
Yeah.
The sort of the outcomes for them.
I mean, I get... The thing for me is it makes sense that they were in the positions of power in town.
Okay, I agree.
And I guess putting him in a police thing might be sort of, again, going into those sort of commentaries that they're very lightly touching on.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that perhaps that might be the cause of it. But again, I thought the sheriff and the mayor fit if the mayor's controlling things, that the sheriff's going out and cleaning shit up for him.
Yeah, well, that probably made a little more sense.
But yeah, I had similar questions.
I want more.
Yeah.
From my
Where's
nefarious bullshit.
Where's Ric Flair good in this?
Yeah, exactly.
Coming in.
Where is he?
Drunk and
drunk, commandeering planes, walking around with nothing on under his robe.
Yeah, well, that would have been him at the Ranger, wouldn't it? Put your fucking Hessian pants back on, you bozo.
All right, look, my last dislike: using the blood again to lure the killers. It just, I know it was probably necessary in a sense, but it was old the second time they did it in the first movie. Like, by the time we got to this, it was very old.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Isn't there another way to handle it?
They were more creative with the use of it, which
Yes.
I'll give them points for that. But yeah, I felt a little bit of that.
It's just sort of the same, treading back to the same sort of shit.
And were they inconsistent with it again?
I think.
Tell me. So the part that I'm talking about is the cops sort of stopping their plan, and then
they're killed, but then they weren't
killed, but they didn't have blood on them, did they?
Yeah, no,
So
not as far as I was aware.
yeah, I know one of them. One of them. That's what I thought. One of them shoots one of the killers.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and gets him. But I was sort of like.
But the whole idea was, if it wasn't your blood,
yeah,
like,
they were
not
on.
interested in you.
Yeah. So I didn't.
It wasn't the cursed blood.
I thought I must have missed something when the policeman got killed, because I was just sort of like, okay, well,
unless
aren't
they
not
in it
doing
or
that? Like a pile of dog shit. I don't know. But...
Usually you're not killed for that.
Well, it depends on where you happen to be walking straight after.
I've returned to my home with some dog shit on my shoe before, and probably was close to being killed as I dragged it through the house.
Yes, exactly. So fair. It's a fair sort of parallel to draw there.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. I missed that. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just felt it was a little lazy. Just sort of falling back on the same way of dealing with the killers.
Yep.
It just felt like, okay, so there's nothing else.
Yeah.
There's no other way we can work this out.
Yeah. I again, like I said, it was the fact that they got a bit more creative with how they used it that I gave it a bit of a pass, but I did sort of think the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
A couple of the naming things. Again, I said this is keeping with R.L. Stein, especially if you're in Goosebumps territory. But sometimes the naming is just on the nose.
Yeah.
Like Sheriff Good was okay, but you know, the place being called Union before West Shadyside and Sunnyvale, and yeah, sometimes that was a bit much.
Come on, RL.
Yeah.
Clean up your act.
Especially when they start talking about survivors with their face to the sun, and I'm like, okay, we get it. Sunnyvale, Shadyside, we get it. Like,
is he still riding?
Oh, fuck, when is he not riding? I think he's still
The guy rides on the fucking toilet. And I can tell you now, I can't do that.
He knocks out, obviously they're very short, like the books are they're not Stephen King.
You're talking about Goosebumps?
Yeah, Goosebumps especially. That's what he's mainly doing now, I think, and they're quite short.
About 120 pages?
Yeah, 120 to 150.
Yeah, big
double spaced.
Yeah, big font.
Big font.
Yeah.
It's not Stephen King knocking up 6 pages of very small text in a day.
I remember opening page 1 of It and going, oh, fuck. It's like
1,200 of this. Jesus Christ.
I was like, oh, shit. It's like reading the Bible.
Yeah.
It was just crammed in there. I was like, oh, shit, Stephen.
Yeah.
This better be fucking worth it.
Yeah. I feel RL, like, obviously it's quicker to punch out 150 than a King 150.
Is there still like hundreds of Goosebumps books?
Yeah.
Are you sure they're not just re-releasing?
No, well, they do re-release them, but he's doing ones. I think they're called. There's ones at the moment called Slappy World that seem to be coming out as new releases. So. Again, he's recycling ideas and characters, but he's still.
I think the last time RL had an original idea was in the 90s.
It's like a Mad Libs, but he just picks out his character names and just.
He's got a dartboard. Throws a few darts and goes, all right, there we go.
But yeah, he's still punching them out quite frequently. He seems to get a whole bunch out fairly quickly.
Look, I'm not knocking the man's he has got a vivid imagination, and it's obvious that he is able to churn out these stories.
Yeah.
It's just that a lot of them aren't nuanced. It's just, pop it on the page. But it's for kids.
Yeah.
You don't need nuance. You don't need to go that deep.
Here you go. I just got a quote from the bloke. I treat it like a job and write 2,000 words 5 to 6 times a week.
5 to 6 times a week.
So-
Sorry, so hang on. You and 5 to 6 other people write
Yeah.
2,000 words a day?
Sorry, I meant 5 to 6 people a week knock out 2,000 words for me.
2,000 words. What's that in pages, do you reckon?
Oh, in those pages, it's probably about 50.
He writes an entire book in 3 days. Fucking hell.
No, look. It'd probably... he gets... I reckon he'd be getting 4 to 5 Goosebumps books out in a year pretty easily.
Yeah, okay.
At his peak,
Well, that's
maybe.
not too bad. Well, you know what I mean? Like, that's not outrageous.
No.
I mean, King does 5 books a year.
Almost.
Recently, the bloke seems to be putting out 5 books a year. So,
Yeah.
fuck, if he's doing it with his minuscule, minuscule font and,
King goes like 2 to 3, but one of them's a collection of short stories because he knows there's going to be a fucking bidding war on each story. It's not going to be. I'll buy the rights to that book because I'll buy the rights from page 1 to 50.
yeah. Well, it's just him sort of softening up his TV and film area by just getting it out. But look, Stein obviously is prolific. His ideas lack nuance, but they're for kids now.
Yeah.
Even the Fear Street ones at their peak were very kid-friendly.
Well, they're the kind of teenage one, but essentially it's the same sort of stuff, just with people getting killed.
Yeah, a couple of people.
Because Goosebumps, that stuff doesn't happen.
Oh, and
quite
there's
as
that
much.
kind of low-level romantic drama that's in that shit.
You're saying RL gets into a bit of smut occasionally?
so
the stiffy part fit right in.
Ariel is not a peddler to the stiffy brigade. What I mean is, yeah, they're always crapping on about, you know, I'm dating this guy and I'm having problems with him and I'm, you know, there's a love triangle. That's the sort of thing that was in those books. And it was the same in the point thrillers.
50 Shades of Fear or something like that.
Yeah, that kind of low-level stuff. And that's not in Goosebumps, if I'm not mistaken.
He also mentioned that he purposely writes thin characters.
Purposely?
Did you know that?
Is that your excuse?
He said, I purposely write thin characters so that whoever's reading it can put themselves in that, read it as if you're, you know, you put yourself in the story.
But that's one person. I mean, the rest of them are thin as well, idiot. They're all thin.
I feel
Come
like
on.
I write thin characters, so when one of my 4 or 5 ghost writers writes one, you can't tell. Because there's no... underdeveloped character. Must be R.L. Stop it.
Yeah, RL, don't give me that shit. I mean, just...
No, look, you're writing for kids. We know there's a method to it. You're writing for kids.
You know, he did write an actual novel.
So you tell me.
No, he did. An actual adult novel.
Right.
It was called Superstitions. It was reviewed in Fangoria and absolutely fucking ripped to shreds. They said it was trash.
Good.
Absolute trash. But I think it was called Superstitions. I'm not 100% sure. I never read it. Characters were too thin. I couldn't get behind it.
Couldn't see yourself in it at all.
Not at all.
Couldn't relate to it.
The characters were so thin. I saw myself in every.
Yeah, this isn't working for me. I'm everybody.
Yeah, RL, look, don't give me that. Just I'm serious. Just come out and say, look, I'm writing for children.
What are you trying to say? I'm writing for children.
These characters
They're
don't
idiots.
need to be.
They don't care.
The characters don't need to be well nuanced.
It doesn't
because
need
it's
to
for
be well
children.
written.
Well, he's pretty much saying that by saying, "Oh, look, I deliberately write these characters with no fucking discernible characteristics, unless I'm telling you about what colour their fucking hair is or something. That's the only thing he has. Holy shit, RL! Get out of the game."
Well, who needs to write detailed characters when you sell 200 million
Yeah,
copies
I know,
or
that's
400
the
million
thing.
copies or whatever?
RL, just admit it. you make shit, you write shit, but it's well received and popular shit.
You just need to keep the wheel turning.
I mean,
That's all
Ariel, you
do.
had me for fucking 5 years in my teens with that shit. Hey, look, Ariel, he knows where his bread's buttered. He's not a silly man. He knows that, Goosebumps is where it's at.
Yeah, look, we've been kicking him, but some of those stories are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
As I said, watching a couple of... There's particular episodes of the TV series which are mostly based on the books where the better ones wouldn't be out of place as a kind of a mid-tier Twilight Zone kind of story.
Agree.
The worst ones, I mean, shit.
Shit.
Good bit of character, wouldn't it?
Fucking hell. Honestly. No, but Ariel, his stuff is at a certain level.
Yeah.
Right? So you
it's not at adult level, apparently, according to Fango.
According to Fangoria, no. They were
Okay.
thoroughly unenthused with his only adult work. I believe it was his only adult work. Look, again, I didn't read it. But
Right.
they said it was written like a Fear Street book.
Okay.
And so RL stuff is at a certain level, so you have to accept that when you're getting his books.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that this 3-pack of films kind of took the basic stuff.
Yeah.
Shadyside, Sunnyvale, The Curse, the Fear Street, the Fear Family, and then did something with it that was outside of what. Do you think that RL approached them with some ideas? They just said, "Listen, mate, we want characters that you can understand.
We bought the rights.
We want
buy
human characters.
We didn't buy input and feedback, RL.
Did you read your contract? You're not supposed to be talking.
Here's another bag of cash. Just go away.
Yeah, it's the only time Netflix have intervened. They're like, get the fuck out of here, will you?
No. I think, look, he was pretty happy with
these films have got characters.
Yeah, I think. Look, he was pretty happy with them.
Was he?
Imagine he.
Well, when he's fucking cash register goes,
Yeah.
of course
What
he's
was that?
fucking happy.
25th Street books are back in print. Yeah, okay, sounds good.
How did it go? Oh yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
I think that's pretty much all my dislikes, bar the Konami code. I didn't like when he came and talked about
I like the idea of
I like
that.
the idea of that, but it just seemed really clumsy when he just kind of fumbled out and said, "Oh, it's the Konami code." I just thought that is just total. That's where you're looking at the time period and saying, "I've got to stuff something in that fits the time
A
period."
bit of fan service.
But yeah, I guess going on to that
Honestly,
next
it went
point.
straight over my head.
Yeah, going on
And
to
how
the
come I
next
didn't
point.
know about this in '94?
Well, yeah, I didn't know about it too late. The fucking Turtles game was kicking my ass. I didn't know about the fucking Konami code back then. I had a couple of NBA Jam secret characters and things like that, but I could have done with the Turtles one, that's
yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
But yeah, I think the way that they've gone about it is really good. I'm still, having seen all three of them.
Would you welcome another three?
Absolutely.
films?
But going back to the conversation we spoke about last week with the stuff going on while the credits were rolling.
Yeah.
It's basically just set it up to do exactly what we were kind of. We spoke about some of it in episode 2 and some of it just between ourselves, but it's set up to do exactly what they want to do now. They could do another 3. They could drop a single. They could do whatever they want.
Mm.
They've shown those, the pair of hands taking the book.
Yep.
And you can just run with that exactly like you did in the book. This is set on Fear Street. Doesn't necessarily have to play out,
as attached to those other 3 films.
But the next one might say, okay, who stole the book and who is it now? And we might have a 2 to 3 film thing to go with that. But if you don't want to do that, you just drop another one. Obviously, that's going to be dictated by how many people watched it.
I would have thought it did all right.
I would think so. It seemed like it was. I mean, the first ones did. I didn't see these ones popping up in our top 10s in Australia yet.
No.
So I don't know, what sort of impact. I don't know what the figures will be, and we won't know unless they're awesome. Netflix never really tells us unless they're big numbers. So
I don't think there'll be big numbers, but I think it'll be big enough to warrant some further development.
well, look, they didn't cost you $6 underground. So
Well, it didn't cost you that new one that The Rock's doing.
no. So at $1 for dollar,
Yeah, you're probably going to end up all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy, and I'm happy to see another go round if they go that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it be a standalone film or whether it be another 3-pack series. But...
Yeah, well, you can do all sorts of stuff. I could see an anthology film of 3 or 4 stories in one film. I could see another thing like this where we tie a bunch of interconnected films together. I could see a single film. Like they've just sort of, they can do what they want with it now. They can copy the format of the books. The books did similar to that.
You're not going to spend a lot of money on this stuff.
No. So you might cash in on the IP just by attaching the name to a couple of kind of cheap slashes or cheap,
I'll take a
supernatural
stories if you're interested.
But if they're done at this kind of quality, if you're going to go and find a director with a bit of talent like that who'll do it for the right price,
yeah, I feel I'd be very happy to delve back into it.
Go for it. Bring them on.
Definitely one of mine. Yeah, so it definitely held my attention. I think I'd be very happy to see more of it.
Yeah,
if it was out there. All right, that's the Fear Street Saga, Part 3. You can find us on Podomatic, iTunes and Spotify. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Rate and review us on iTunes and Podomatic to help us get the word out. And keep an eye on the Facebook page for more details of our next film. But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.